podcast.
And my name is Brian Saul, and today we're here with Chelsea Edghill, Guyana's only two-time Olympian in table tennis.
Nice. Thanks for having me.
It's amazing to have you, Chelsea. So we met a couple years ago, actually, in New York. You were on your way to, I believe, Germany?
Yes.
So tell us about that, because I think you were moving there to train and practice.
It was the start of a one-year journey playing second Bundesliga in the German league. It was a new experience, a new environment, totally different from what I'm used to. Living in Portugal before and in New York, it was just totally different. But it was a good experience, a really good, learning curve.
Okay. But before you got there, honestly, I kind of got ahead of myself. Take us back to when you first fell in love with table tennis. When was that moment?
It was very early on in my career. It started when I was 9. I just turned 9, and my parents decided that we were going to go on vacation that year, and they found the Teach Them Young program, and was like, hey, you guys want to try this? And my brother and I, we said yes. And when we got there and we just started playing, it was just instant, loving the sport, learning how to play, and, having friends there that was really fun to be around. And then at the end of it, the coach said that I was really talented and they should bring me back, and the rest was history.
I mean, it's amazing to be not only the first, but then do it again. And I think it's even more amazing because you didn't have anybody to follow up or a mentor specifically in your sport. I've seen videos and heard that Alien Pompey has been a mentor to you, but obviously she's a track and field star.
Yeah.
But how do you set such a great example without having, in my opinion, somebody to mold the way for you?
Well, in the specific sense of not having an Olympian to follow in table tennis, that dream of going to the Olympics started since I was 10. It was really very, very early on. But I had other athletes that, there were other female players in table tennis that were, places where I wanted to be at such a young age. So it was, looking up to them, and, that athlete in you wants to surpass them and do better than. So eventually you did all of those things, and you just kind of had to set your sights on what hasn't been done before, which is really cool.
So with that being said, what was the moment, like the match or the practice that you're like, yes, I'm going? Because you said you were 10 years old.
Yeah.
That's when you came up with that dream. But was there like a specific moment, or was it throughout the season, or?
Oh, no, it's just, playing, and, you would hear the older ones talking, and then, the talks of Olympics, and, it's just a thing where, that's the highest, so you want to get there at some point. But I think for me, what kind of did it was seeing Alien compete at I think it was the Beijing Olympics in '08. So I was, 11? So shortly after first having that dream at 11 years old, seeing Alien, compete at the biggest stage, it kind of just lit that fire that's what I wanted to do.
I think that's a testament to show that sometimes your mentor isn't in your own sport, and we could bring that back to now your newest adventure in the, and correct me because I know I'm going to say it wrong, the Edge series.
Sports manager, then the Edge series, yeah.
So my question, I guess, there is, how do you now be a mentor to athletes that isn't table tennis, that are in basketball, track and field? Because at the end of the day, there is some level of dedication and professionalism that comes along with being an athlete.
I guess, just the things that I learned from Alien, not giving up, and, putting your dreams out there, and, working towards them, and not, just generally not giving up. I think every athlete can benefit from, having resilience, dedication, and most of all, discipline, helps you get a long way, just watching her, for many years. I think I'm for the first time I met Alien, I think I was 17 when I made my first senior team. So it took me all those years later to actually meet my mentor and idol, and ever since then we've been really close. But it was just just watching her, just seeing what she's doing, and trying to emulate that. And I think for me, I think that's the takeaway here, and for any athlete that I would want to mentor is just look at what I do, follow my actions in terms of how I approach my sport, and if you have any questions, you can reach out because I will answer.
Okay, and I think that's a very important thing in Guyana. I feel like some of the athletes are hard to reach, but from a personal experience, ever since we've been in contact, you've always been someone that I can reach out to for advice or just questions about the sporting atmosphere in Guyana. And I love that about you, and I want to see that more from more Guyanese athletes.
Yeah, I think it just comes with the territory. I think for me, I owe it to the next generation. It's not just about me and what I can achieve in my sport, I think I would have done a pretty good job of accomplishing those goals. Yes, I still have a couple more, but I think the focus now is going to be shifted, towards what do I do after I'm finished playing, and what do I do after the spotlight as being Chelsea the athlete ends. Um, what is my legacy? And I think for me that is helping the next generation overcome the things, or not have to deal with some of the things I dealt with as an athlete.
And what are some of those challenges that you're trying to, prevent the athletes from having to go through, and sort of paving the way for making it a little bit easier
Yeah.
for them?
You know, I think on a personal level, I don't want them to, have, some of the issues in terms of funding. And I think a lot of people that are in my position, or in sport are also doing the same, trying to ensure that there's different pathways for athletes, and, ensuring that, our challenges in terms of talking to corporate sponsors, and not getting enough funding, not getting your federation to hear you, or, that structure that's needed in your career, just to ensure that it's a little easier for them, to show them that, hey, if you want to be a professional table tennis player, this is the path you take. If you want to run track, this is what I mean. So just to make sure that they have a little easier to focus on the things that really matter, i.e., competing, winning medals and that kind of thing. So I think that does it for me.
So your first Olympics, what Olympics, and how was that experience?
My first Olympics, Tokyo 2020 Olympics. It was one of the best moments of my life. Hearing the news that I qualified, for the games was just surreal. I couldn't imagine another feeling. It was the kind of like the realization of a dream coming true, and it was a really special moment. Being at the games, and then also finding out that I was, the flag bearer. I think, goodness, like that's
You were the flag bearer for both.
both games, yes. For me, it was one of those things that I've never been the flag bearer before, and to be able to carry the flag on the biggest stage in sports, I think was, unimaginable. And I was filled with pride, and just humility that, okay, this is my moment, and I was just really grateful for it.
I mean, who gave you the call? Or how did you get a call, a text? How did you find out that you're the flag bearer?
Oh no! So I got a call when I was like just getting ready to go to practice, because I didn't qualify like the regular route in terms of winning a qualification or anything. I was granted a tripartite spot to the IOC. So it was one of those things that you're not expecting it. I was going to practice, and I get a call from the general secretary, no, the treasurer at the time, or I think he still is, of the GOA, and he was like, "Chelsea, you to start practicing." And I was like, yeah, I'm actually headed to practice right now. And he was like, "What are you talking about?" And then I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he was like, "You just granted a wild card spot to the Olympics." And I'm like, "What?" I was just like,
So who was the first person you called after getting this news?
I ran downstairs and told my dad, I was like, "Dad, I went to the Olympics." And he was like, "What?" And I told him again, and he just smiled. Like there was no words. And my mom, after I told him, I ran to the kitchen. I told my mom, and she was just like, she's like, all the hard work paid off. So it was a pretty big moment, and it just sums up, 10 years of dreams just coming through at that moment.
Oh, so you were 20.
I
Yeah.
was 24. So it's even more than 10 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was 14 years of a dream coming through.
I mean, that shows persistence
Yes.
and consistency as
Yeah.
well. I think that's something that a lot of athletes and even non-athletes should thrive from. And I'm going to transition because of that into your education, because throughout the time you also were in school.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about that.
A lot of people actually don't know, but I am better at school than I am at my sport.
That's a flex.
Yeah. I'm a bit of a nerd. I hold a bachelor's of science in chemistry, and then I hold a postgraduate certificate in international sports management. Um, those two things, I will always say it came easier than my sport. I know that's the thing that people usually say, oh, their sport, like, but school comes easy to me, and it's the same rules apply. If you put time and effort in doing something, you get the results. My degree in chemistry took, it was fun. Uh,
And where did you get your degrees from?
so my bachelor's I did at Lindenwood University. Go Lions. Um, it was pretty cool. I had some really good professors there. My classmates were pretty fun. Um, I had a lot of fun there, and I played on my school team as well. Competed in NCTTA tournaments, nationals, Division One. Like it was a
And where
really
is
fun
this
time.
located?
So this is in Missouri. I played in the Midwest District. Um, yeah, I was District 10 regional champion in my freshman year, which was really cool to do, and finished top 16 in the U.S. at nationals all 3 years that I competed. So it was a pretty fun time, and then when my post grad, I did that while I was playing professionally in Germany. That was a little bit more difficult than my bachelor's, but at the end of the day, I just kind of knew that in order for me to help athletes, I needed to get certified and qualified to be able to talk on some of the things I want to talk about.
Okay, and talk about some of those things. Like, what are some of the things you would like to talk about from using that degree?
So as chair of the athletes commission, we choose to, our mandate is to advocate for the rights of athletes and make sure that their voices are heard. And all too many times decisions are being made about athletes without without their input, without them being involved in the conversation. And as someone who is qualified or would have studied sports management, it's oftentimes it's good to know what you're talking about when you're talking about it. So just making sure athletes, are their concerns are considered at every like stage of the game. Sorry, is really important. And a lot of the times, I like to talk about structure and strategy and approaching things, and I think that's one of the major things that I like talking about in sports.
So, but again, I guess my question is taken back to how did you reach out to the school in Missouri to be awarded a scholarship from Guyana? Especially, we're not known at that point for having any international tennis player of that caliber.
That's a funny story. So while I was in high school, um, I was doing Cape, so I wasn't playing as much. But I went out one night because one of the national team, like the women table tennis players, she just come home from graduating the same university actually,
Okay.
right? So she was awarded a scholarship to Lindenwood, and she came home and she was on vacation. She asked me to come practice with her, and I was playing, and she asked me for a game, and I beat her really badly. And she was laughing. She was like, what do you plan to do? Like what's your plans after? I was like, I don't know, go to medical school. And she was like, medical school? And she's like, aren't you gonna play? And I was like, no, I think that it's done for me. Like I'm all. She's like, no, like so
And
she
this is pre-Olympic.
pre-Olympian Chelsea. So
Yeah.
it was just like, okay, give me a call the night after practice, and then like she'll get back to me on it. And I was like, okay. So I did, and she put me in contact with her coach, and her coach asked for like video and stuff of me playing and my accolades, and then it was like just kind of fast track from there because this was maybe like April, and then in August I was at the university.
Oh
Like it
wow.
was like
So
really quick.
it happened.
Yeah, it happened super fast. So thanks to her, today I have my bachelor's and then my post grad, and she's actually someone I look up to. Her name is Michelle John. She's been a close friend and confidant for many years, and she supports me in everything that I do, and as a table tennis player too. She's like basically passing the baton on to me.
I was gonna say, so without her, there's no
No,
Chelsea Edghill.
no, there's no Chelsea.
That's not a far-fetched statement
No,
to
no,
make.
no, no.
Okay.
But even before then, when she lived in Guyana, was on the national team. She was one of my biggest supporters, and somebody who always looked out for me as a kid.
Yeah, and I think that's important to highlight that
Yeah.
even though she wasn't an Olympian, without her, you wouldn't be able to make it to that next level. So without her, there's no Chelsea Edghill, and I think that's important for the younger generation because a lot of times you look at athletes that are accomplishing amazing things, but they're not yet an Olympian,
Yeah.
and sometimes people don't want to take advice from someone
no.
that isn't at that level.
No. I choose to take advice from the older generation. They have knowledge to give, especially those who would have walked a similar path like myself. Michelle, Allian. They have a wealth of knowledge, and to this day they still pass on knowledge to me, and anything I ask, they're there to help, and those are people that I respect greatly.
Okay, so social life, Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit of how you balance school, dating. I saw one time you made a like Instagram thing, like you were like, I think people were like asking you questions or
Oh yeah,
something,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and they went crazy trying to figure out your
yeah,
dating
yeah, yeah,
life. So we can give
yeah.
them a little insight.
Um, I don't even know how to answer that one. I think it's there. I guess it's there. Um, it's a little difficult. Especially when you're playing professionally, and then you have to study, and then you have to find time for friends and family. And I think I'm very picky when dating. So I think that's where my problem. I think that's where the problem comes in for me, because I'm very specific and particular on who I want to date. But yeah.
So what does the ideal guy look like for Chelsea? Give
um,
somebody an inkling of what they need to do.
Um, I just look for, like, I just, if someone's kind and honest, and sure about what they want in life, um, that's it for me. But I have the superficial ones too. It must be tall, must be good looking.
I mean, you're tall. You're
Yeah,
tall.
I am
So,
tall.
so
Yeah,
to everybody else,
yeah, yeah.
what is a tall guy? Because a tall guy is relative based on your
Yeah,
height.
yeah, it is. But just be taller than me, I
And
guess.
how tall are you?
I'm 5'10". So
Okay.
it can be my height or taller. It's fine. If you're short,
But no short
no,
kings.
you can be short king. If I like you, maybe. But like my preference.
What's the
Okay.
shortest guy you've ever dated?
5'9", I think.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a little short of me. I think yeah.
And you were already 5'10" at that point?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
How long have you been 5'10"? Because it seems if you've always been tall.
No, I haven't been actually. That's a funny one. I got tall when I was like 14. Before
Okay.
then, I was maybe 5 feet tall.
And, and how does being tall help with table tennis?
It really doesn't, to be honest. I've got reach, but that's about it. Like, it's a little bit more challenging if you're tall.
So it actually makes it a little bit more difficult
Yeah, a
to
little
be
bit.
tall. Okay.
Because you have to be able to move really well when you're this tall, and you have to be quick as well. Especially as a girl, you play really close to the table, so it doesn't leave a lot of room for mistakes or all that stuff. So you have to be able to move really well. So for me, it's I've been tall most of my life, at least, no, or half my life, something around
I mean,
there.
how old are you, if
I'm
you don't mind?
I'm
You know,
28.
you never asked a lady her age, but
No,
you put me on the spot earlier off camera. They're like,
I'm 28. I look great, so I don't care.
amen. Oh, siblings?
Yes, I have two siblings. I have an older sister and a younger brother.
Okay, and
Yeah.
your older sibling, I'm assuming, doesn't have any kids, or your auntie?
Oh, she
Or-
has 4 kids.
Okay.
Like she's four of my greatest joys in life. So I have 2 nieces and 2 nephews. They're super cool kids.
Does
So-
any of them want to be a tennis player
No,
or an athlete?
no, athlete, yes. My nephew, I think both my nephews, they and my eldest niece, I think, are all into being athletic. I think my niece did track. They live in the U.S., so it's
Okay.
a little bit more accessible for them.
Mhm.
I think my older nephew, he is into soccer, and the youngest, he's about 4.
Maybe in Guyana, so we call it football.
Okay, football. But the 4-year-old, I think he's just enjoying life, running around and stuff. But I think my second niece, I'm not sure if she's athletically inclined or if she wants to do athletics. I don't know, but
And
she's time.
And did your parents play any sports, or your siblings?
Yes. My brother and I were both on a national team, the junior national team. He was a junior national champion in table tennis as well, Caribbean champion as well. I think he has more junior titles in the Caribbean than I do. Don't let him hear me.
Give this man his flowers.
It is true. It is true. He has more gold medals in the Caribbean Championships at the junior level than I do. And he played a lot when he was a kid, but now no. My older sister, she was athletic. My parents, my mom did soccer. No, I did. My mom did hockey, and my dad was a table tennis player.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hockey is different. You think like field hockey?
Field hockey.
Okay.
Yeah, she did field hockey when she was younger, and my dad, he dabbled in table tennis. He could play, but he didn't expect that his 2 kids would be the best in the sport at the very young age.
Okay, I
Yeah.
like that a lot. So a lot of family ties to sports.
Yeah.
Now, is there a plan for a family of your own
Oh,
once you find
definitely. Yeah.
the right
I'm.
person?
Yeah. Definitely.
Assuming there isn't already a right person.
I don't know. I don't know.
Don't get cussed out because of me
No,
now.
no, 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 no. I don't know. Yes, but I want a family. I want kids of my own. Um, the goal is to have my kids, not only go to the Olympics but win a medal. Do a little bit more than I did, or get further than me in what I did in my sport. But that's only if they
But
choose.
but your Olympic career is over yet, so
No,
we
no,
don't
no.
know if you've yet
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
capped off yet
No,
without winning the medal at the
no.
Olympics.
But the kids need to, outdo mom. So,
Of course. So if you win one, they gotta win two.
two. You know what I mean? Like they've gotta, push the barrier because I know it's gonna be a difficult task for them. Having to hear, oh, your mom was, So it's like, okay, if they want to do sports, you're gonna do it. We're gonna do it the right way.
Okay. I mean, there's a quote that says your parents are the only people on this earth that actually wants you to do better than them
That
in
is
life.
very true.
And
Yeah.
it seems that without you having
Having that
kids,
kid.
you've already have that mom
Yeah,
instinct of
yeah.
I want my kids to do
Yeah,
better.
they must outdo me. I must be a footnote. Oh, they're a 5-time Olympian, but their mom was too, so 5 is more, so that kind of thing.
Fast forward, we had a conversation. You're saying 2028 Olympics is the
Yeah.
site or the end of your career is with your.
Yeah, I don't talk about the end yet, but
Okay.
the goal is 2028. It would be a really nice way to round out the career, and like I said, not so much to dwell on that quite yet. I'm still not done. I
Yeah.
still have a lot more in me to give and a lot more goals to accomplish in my sport. So it's a matter of just getting healthy and focusing on the next tournament, preparation, and just being the best version of myself going into 2028.
Okay. And throughout that time, let's say we're not going to talk about the end, but what is fun outside of table tennis for Chelsea?
For me, I've gotten this really expensive habit of traveling. Um,
So you're a TSA pre-check kind of girl?
yes. And I have friends that like that habit I have too because it's their habit as well. So I like traveling. I like seeing different places in the world, and I like going to the movies. I like anywhere with like body of water. The beach. I just like being there. Like
So what's the favorite place that you visited this year, and how many places have you visited this year?
I think I traveled about 8 times this year. My favorite place this year, it's gonna be a tie between Switzerland and Barbados.
Okay.
Yeah.
I plan on going to Barbados next year for CPL,
It's
so
a
I'll need some
vibe.
tips and
It's
tricks to get around. I have a
like we stayed at this amazing hotel. I think it's the Lord. It's in one of like a castle kind of thing, and it was just amazing. Like I was there for coaching. I was coaching the junior national team, but the time like once everybody was done and it was time to do a little vacationing. I got a rental and I was everywhere.
So with you traveling, do you speak any other languages?
Yes, I do. I speak Spanish and Portuguese.
Okay, can we get something in Spanish and Portuguese? Like, let me hear a little. Teach me some.
Okay, I'll just keep it simple. Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Well, I know that.
Okay.
I know a very little bit Spanish. I actually
Yeah.
did my foreign language in high school and college. It
Yeah,
was Spanish,
same.
so I know a little bit of Spanish.
Yeah, same.
I don't use it, so I lose it.
Aw.
But
So I had a coach from Cuba that was here last year. He speaks only Spanish, and I was one of the only persons that was able to have a conversation with him because no English. So that kind of strengthened my Spanish a lot last year. And the Portuguese was because I lived in Portugal for about 3 years, and I had some amazing friends there that for me, anytime I want to, like, I plan to go back to a place, it would always be Portugal.
I mean, there's a lot of non-English speakers in Guyana. Like just
And
today.
for me, it's like super like cool. It's cool to see, and I would like to see Guyanese picking up a second language. I think it's really important.
I think it's more important for us to learn their language so that we get to, when we do travel and pick up those hobbies to travel, we know a little bit of their culture as well. Obviously, English will always be our,
for sure.
I guess not even English because some people don't even understand us.
Yeah, we speak a really cool level of Creole. Yeah, but it's super cool. I think we should pick up another language regardless. You know, it's fun to learn different cultures.
Okay. So if there's advice you were to, before we go, because we're running low on time, you don't get a lot of time with a two-time Olympian. She has a busy schedule.
That's crazy.
But before you go, if you were to give an advice to your younger self when you were, let's say, 9 years old, what would that advice be? And part two, if you had one superpower or one superhero trait, what would that be?
So the advice to my younger self is keep working and don't give up. It works out in the end. And my superpower would be, hmm, hmm, immortality.
So you just want to be here forever.
Low key.
Well, it was amazing having you. I'm looking forward to having you again. I'm looking forward to seeing you bring home a medal in the next Olympics and some more championships.
Okay.
And I hope it's not the end, but even if it is, I'm looking forward to the next series
chapter.
of the next chapter of what Chelsea has to offer the youths and continuing to grow as an individual.
Thank you.